Has anyone else run out of things to do without football yet? Yes, welcome along to this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m, bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That is the FAWNL and the 6 divisions within it. Of course, the summer keeps rolling on, and the end of the summer break doesn't appear to be getting any closer, even though it is. Pre-season is now just a couple of weeks away for the majority of teams who have announced their pre-season schedules so far, and plenty more have still yet to announce any games that they are playing between now and the start of next season, which date we think, which brings us nicely on to the first piece of news, is going to be the 18th of August. Now, the first time we have seen that written anywhere is thanks to Peterborough United, who have put on their pre-season schedule graphic that Sunday the 18th of August is the first game of the season. Now, interestingly, while Peterborough have done that, Moneyfields have today come out with an updated pre-season schedule for them, and that includes a game against Southampton under-21s on that opening day of the season. So perhaps they've put that in there because they know the season is going to be later and Peterborough are wrong. Perhaps they've put it in there just in case it is later and it's a relatively easy game to cancel, so to either play or cancel depending on when the start of the season is. But the 18th of August, which is the date that we all kind of expected because it's the third Sunday in August, which is the kind of traditional starting date, if you will, for the league, seems to be, when you look at all the other pre-season schedules all finishing on the 11th, seems to be the date that everyone is kind of going for, which is the 18th of August, kind of the first bit of news, really. Still lots to come up on this week's show. We'll be chatting to Dylan Wimbury, who is the head coach of Cheadle Town Stingers. Be chatting to him a little bit later on after their promotion into Division 1 North, and we have the third round draw of the summer knockout tournament as well, with 16 teams remaining and all vying for a spot in the quarter final. But before we get to either of that, let's go through the other two pieces of news that have come out from the past week. We're going to start with the FSA, the Football Supporters Association, who are creating for next season an FAWNL supporters guide. So this is the sort of thing you've seen. It's like the good food guide, you know, our best pubs in Lincolnshire guide or whatever. So you've got then information about all the clubs in the FAWNL, such as any key facts about them, supporters group information, where the home ground is, how accessible it is, travel guidance for the grounds, you know, tips for visiting the grounds for the first time, the sort of thing that you see in and around. You know, there's quite a bit of it for the men's game. You know, what's the bus route, what's the train situation like on a Sunday, how much are the refreshments, etc. So they're putting together that. You can collect the information from that either via the Football Supporters Association Twitter page, or X page, or whatever you want to call it now, which is at We Are the FSA, or there are links to it from at FAWNL from their own X account. Now, Speaking of the FAWNL, you have the opportunity to join the FAWNL and be part of, well, what they say is to be at the heart of the transformation and growth of women's football. They are looking for an independent, non-executive director within like the CEO and chair's office on a voluntary basis. For next season, you will agree and implement the strategic direction of the FAWNL, make recommendations for commercial partnerships, implement policy regarding to the lean competitions, make decisions regards to the rules and regulations, oversee the operational delivery, monitor the budget, represent the FAWNL at meetings, and be an advocate for the FAWNL. So what you need for this role: a good understanding of corporate governance, passion for women's football, experience in developing and delivering successful strategies, working with boards, developing relationships with stakeholders, operating positions of leadership, networks, leadership skills, strategic and financial management, communication skills, and the like. So it's also beneficial to have understanding of women's sport, knowledge of the workings of women's football, safeguarding, experience of working in sport, coach, referee, workforce development, and extensive expertise in one or more of the following areas: commercial, marketing, communication and media, broadcast, financial and facility development. Interviews scheduled to take place on the 10th of July, first meeting of the board on Tuesday the 23rd of July. So a voluntary position, non-executive director's role, location primarily home-based with a little bit of travel. I do understand the expenses and limited days are covered as well in that. But that closes on the 2nd of July, which is Tuesday. So if you are interested in that, then you need to be relatively quick about it. But yeah, we're kind of just going through the motions of summer, really. And there's not a huge amount of big breaking news coming across the FAWNL, but if there is anything, of course, we will bring you it here on the Women's Football Chat. Right, let's get then down into today's main feature, which is our interview for this week. So I spoke this week to Dylan Wimbury, who is the head coach for Cheadle Town Stingers. Of course, they won the Northwest Regional Women's Premier Division last season comfortably in the end and got themselves promoted up into Division 1 North. So it's really a good interview, this one, 10 minutes or so. And Dylan started by telling me what his summer has been like ahead of the new campaign.
It's very busy, to be fair. And thanks for having me for this conversation to start with, Chris. But yeah, it's a very, very busy time of the year. I think any manager would lie if they said they enjoyed this part of the year, because they don't. It's very, very stressful. It's very, very long and hard working. But it's the reason why we do it. We put ourselves through it for the reason of putting a team together to be successful. But yeah, it's a long, hard, tricky slog, which started yesterday. Actually, our first session back was yesterday, so it was nice to get some new faces, some old faces, existing players, new players coming together. So it was nice to see.
Season before last, and winning the league last season rather convincingly in the end by 15 points. Must have been quite a campaign. 18 wins, just 2 losses in there.
Yeah, it was a very, very good season. It has been a very good couple of seasons, actually, with 4 trophies in 3 seasons altogether, which is fantastic for the size of the club we are and where the existing club come from before Cheadle Town. If someone would have said to me just before COVID when I took the job, would you have this success? I would have said absolutely no chance. But the group we put together, the hard work, what we've all done as a group, and the backing we've had from the old board, the now new board on the club has been outstanding. So I'm really pleased what we've achieved so far in such a short space of time.
A lot of paperwork ahead of the new year, going into not necessarily just moving one tier up, but moving from the regional system into the FAWNL. It's almost like joining an entirely different organisation in some areas.
Yeah, it's very tricky. I'm very lucky. I've got such a special bloke in Stuart who's the secretary, and he absolutely does everything for the full club. He's just a legend of a man. And I've been bombarded with an awful lot of emails recently from the WNL and from the North West Women's Regional League. We're trying to put everything together, and luckily we have been very supported by Manchester FA, who've supported us so far. We've got a meeting booked in with them just to finalise some stuff going over. But yeah, it's certainly one we're looking forward to. Stuart might disagree with all the meetings he's got to go to over the next couple of weeks, but it's certainly one what I'm looking forward to and where I can assist where possible.
So you've mentioned there the Manchester FA, that's obviously the area that Cheadle are in. Just tell us a bit about the club. I suspect I know one fixture you're particularly looking forward to next season in Division 1 North, but just tell us a bit about the club.
Yeah, so the original club, we'll talk about the ladies' side. The original Stingers team formed in 1999 as Manchester Stingers, and it was a club based on everyone can play, everyone's equal, everyone can come down and support each other. And I got the job. Me and the lad Adam Casey got the job the year of COVID. And we spoke to the board of that team, and we said, look, we want to try and be competitive, which they was fully on board with. And then with the struggles of COVID and finances, the board at Manchester Stingers all played. So we had a bit of an emergency meeting, and luckily Cheadle Town was looking for a women's section. Craig, the owner, is the owner of the business I work for, so it was a coming together really. So we've been under the Cheadle Town umbrella since 2019, 2020, whatever it worked out at, maybe 21, I can't remember now. Yeah, so as it stands, we're the only women's team at the club. We are trying to form a reserve team again this season, but with the level of work what goes into the National League, it's proving to be a bit of a struggle to get the right people on board for that. So that'll be something coming. So yeah, that's a small part of the club. In terms of next year, I just can't wait to be the underdogs in the full division. There's no right really that Cheadle Town Stingers should be playing against Leeds United, Stockport County, Middlesbrough, and all the teams that have had such success in the last few years in the Women's League and the Women's Pyramid. But it's certainly a challenge I'm really looking forward to. Yes, no doubts about it. I can't wait for that Stockport County game, and I'm sure people are going to be looking at that one to come forward. It'd be great if we can get it at Edgley Park, but if not, Stockport Sports Village isn't too far from my house, so it's a nice travel. It's a nice trip anyway. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We want to play some of these big teams. It'd be nice if we can play them in some of their big main stadiums, because I know there was a few games last year in their main stadiums. It'd be great if little old Cheadle can get there, but if not, we'll give it our all and we'll play anyone wherever we need to play them.
Yeah, you mentioned it there, the big Middlesbrough with all of their backing, got Durham Sestra working obviously alongside Durham in the Championship, Stockport, the local ones, Doncaster Rovers, Bells, all their history as well. The aim, I'm assuming, is to finish 10th next season, and anything else is a bonus.
Well, it'll be survival initially. I'm very lucky with the squad we've built over the last couple of years. I've all had tier 3 or tier 4 experience of some sort, barring 2. So we're continuing with 14 players from last year's squad will join us. There'll be 6 or 7 new recruits, some positive conversations, but I will be aiming slightly higher than 10th. But if we take 10th, then that's how lucky we get. We'll take it 100%. But there'll be no doubts that I'm hoping some teams will get a small shock when they come to the Park Road Stadium and see the team we've built together over the last 3 years.
Yeah, and of course we've got the FAWNL AGM coming up in a few weeks. Fixtures will be out as well. Pre-season, as you said, you've had your first training session back, and there's well into the planning of all that. With regards to like the pre-season fixtures, the test, is it more the fitness? Are you trying to test yourself against some teams that are at around the same level?
Well, it's about gelling the squad together. So there'll be 6 or 7 new recruits. There'll be a new assistant manager who's just come into post. So it's about, first of all, gelling the team together and making sure that everyone's happy, everyone gets along, everyone has that warm feeling and wants to battle for each other on the pitch when it needs to be. But we've got a real nice mixture of teams in tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5 we're playing against in pre-season. So it's about what we look like in possession, what we look like out of possession, and in transition. And if we sort out our own game, then we can. If we've got our house in order, then we don't have to worry too much about the other teams coming to us or who we're travelling against. So there's some real interesting fixtures, and what I will say about the Northwest is maybe not so much last season, but certainly the season before. We had FC United, who was on a bit of a restructure. We've had Tranmere, we've had Salford City, and us all competing. And that league, not last year, the year before, all 4 teams probably could have been playing in the National League North, but just because the way it is, some teams obviously then break away because people want that success and want to play higher. So in terms of pre-season, I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm really looking forward to playing Liverpool Feds on a Thursday night. I think that'll be a real good test, and a sort of club we should be aspiring towards. Really, they're all on their own. They're very small. They're the smallest club in that tier 3, and that'll be we can sort of learn from that as well and get some tips and some advice. But yeah, it's just expressing ourselves in pre-season and making sure we gel properly.
Yeah, making sure you're ready for that opening day of the season. It's sure to be a great one with games under the lights and long travelling trips up to the other side of the countries that you don't get as much in the regional leagues. It should be a great season, and one I'm sure that everybody at Cheadle will really look forward to.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'd be lying if I said I was really looking forward to the 3 and 4 hour trips to the northeast. But if you've got a squad that all gets on and all battle for each other, that makes it so much easier. And I think if I can get happy players, I get the best players then, and that's part of our ethos. It's part of our values and culture. But yeah, it's the games under the lights. It's us being the underdogs. It's us, wanting to upset some of these bigger teams. I think that's what we're really looking forward to hopefully doing, and putting Cheadle Town on the next map. I think we've done it in the Northwest. If we can do it in the North, then even better.
Huge thank you to Dylan for taking the time out to chat to me earlier on this week, and best of luck to Cheadle Town Stingers in their first season in the FAWNL. Interesting there to hear how these sides who don't have ambition of being really high up in the pyramid, and how they are adapting and looking ahead to a season in the FAWNL. Next week, be chatting to the manager of Bournemouth Sports and hearing about how they are preparing for life in FAWNL Division 1 South West. Plenty of local rivalries for them. So you've got that to look forward to next week. Now, though, we have the draw for the 3rd round of the Women's Football Chat Summer Knockout 2024. 16 teams remain, including Dulwich Hamlet and Worcester City, newly promoted sides, are still in the competition. Let's get straight over to the draw room and find out those 8 remaining ties. Well, we started with 72 and now we are down to the final 16 teams in the Women's Football Chat Summer Knockout 2024. We have had the preliminary round and 2 fascinating rounds already in this year's tournament, and now we are down to, as I said, those final 16 sides for this 3rd round draw, ahead of then when we go into the quarter-finals in a couple of weeks' time. Some really important results. Some sides that we expected to go a long way into this competition have been knocked out, and every vote really is important, because in the 1st round and in the 2nd round, some ties have been decided by just 1 vote. So your opinion really does make all the difference. Don't forget you're voting for your favourite side in each tie. That could be anything, even if it's just the fact that they play in your favourite colour. So we have 16 teams remaining in this draw. Let's quickly go through the rules of the summer knockout once again. So voting is open from when this draw goes out on Thursday evening through to midnight on Sunday, and the winners of each tie will then progress into the next round of the competition. In the event of a tie, then there will be a special one-day kind of redo, so to speak, almost a bit like an extra time sort of deal between those sides. All voting takes place on www.womensfootballchat.wordpress.com. So those are the rules of the summer knockout tournament. Let's now have a look at the teams remaining in this year's tournament. We'll go through those ball numbers for you now. AFC Bournemouth are ball number 1, Actonians ball number 2, Bridgewater United are 3, the inaugural winners Cheshire United 4, Dulwich Hamlet, the side who got the most votes in the second round, are ball 5, Halifax 6, Ipswich Town, they beat Stockport County by just a single vote in round 2, they're ball 7, Lincoln City are 8, Loughborough Lightning are 9, last year's finalists Norton and Stockton Ancients are 10. Nottingham Forest are 11. They got the second highest number of votes in the second round. Plymouth Argyle are 12. Solihull Moors 13. Stourbridge 14. Worcester City, who were behind to Norwich for a long period of time before pipping them at the end, are 15. And York City are 16. So only 8 ties to be drawn in this third round. We are, as I said, just one away from the quarter final. Let's get straight down to it. And the first side out is number 8. That is Lincoln City. Lincoln City, the first side out in this third round. And Lincoln City will take on last year's finalists Norton and Stockton Ancients. Lincoln City against Norton and Stockton Ancients. Number 1, AFC Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth are number 1. And they will take on number 6. That's Halifax. Halifax of the Northern Premier Division against Bournemouth of Division 1 South West. Number 2, Actonians. Actonians, the next side to be drawn from Division 1 South East. And Actonians will face number 9, Loughborough Lightning. Actonians against Loughborough Lightning, the third tie out of 8 to be drawn. Number 12, Plymouth Argyle. Plymouth Argyle, number 12. And Plymouth face number 13, that's Solihull Moors. Plymouth Argyle against Solihull Moors. And we're now halfway through the draw with some big teams still left in there. Cheshire United, inaugural champions. Dulwich Hamlet, most votes in round 2. Nottingham Forest, second most votes in round 2. Stourbridge in there as well as newly promoted side in Worcester City. So still plenty to go with 4 ties remaining. Number 16, York City. York City, number 16, are next out. And they take on number 4, Chesham United, an all Division 1 South East tie in this third round, as York City, sorry, not an all, I was getting very confused there, wasn't I? It's York City against Chesham United. Number 7, Ipswich Town of the Southern Premier Division. Ipswich Town of the Southern Premier Division. And they will take on of the Northern Premier Division, Stourbridge, number 14, Stourbridge. We have 2 ties left to be drawn. And next out, number 3, Bridgewater United. Bridgewater United, number 3, the next side out. And Bridgewater United will take on number 5, that's Dulwich Hamlet. Bridgewater United against Dulwich Hamlet. Means we are left with just 1 tie remaining. No, it doesn't really matter in which order these get drawn out. Take that one first, which is number 15, Worcester City. Worcester City, number 15, and they should go against if everything has again been drawn to plan, and it has. Number 11, Nottingham Forest. Worcester City against Nottingham Forest, the final tie out in this third round draw. And that is the end of this third round draw. Let's go through those 8 ties for you again. So we have Lincoln City against Norton and Stockton Ancients. AFC Bournemouth take on Halifax. Actonians against Loughborough Lightning. Plymouth Argyle against Solihull Moors. York City against Chesham United. Ipswich Town against Stourbridge. We have Bridgewater United against Dulwich Hamlet, and Worcester City against Nottingham Forest. Voting for those ties is open now on www.womensfootballchat.wordpress.com, and voting will be open until midnight on Sunday, when we will learn who are the 8 sides through to this year's quarter-final. Well, there you have it then. Those 8 ties. Voting is open now on www.womensfootballchat.wordpress.com. You have until midnight on Sunday to try and get your favourite team through into the quarter-finals. Now, that will about do it for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. Next week's show will be ever so slightly different. I've already mentioned we have that interview with the Bournemouth sports manager coming up. However, I am on holiday next week, so you will still have a show, but it will be entirely just that interview. There is no quarter-final draw next week because I go away before voting closes from this third round. So I'll be back properly in a couple of weeks' time. That is the 4th of July, and there we will have the quarter-final draw for the Summer Knockout 2024. If you want your favourite team to be in it, then get voting now. But thank you very much for watching and or listening to this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat, and goodbye.